This morning, we've learned that two times Masters champion Bubba Watson is leaving the PGA Tour for the controversial Saudi-backed Live Golf Series. Watson is just the latest player to join the breakaway league. And this morning, ahead of hosting the series at his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, former President Trump is going to tee off with two other former PGA golfers who also joined this Live League. Trump has been criticized by families and survivors of the 9/11 terrorist attack for hosting the tournament and for working with the man that U.S. intelligence says is responsible for the death of journalist Jamal Khashoggi. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Trump claims the controversy around Khashoggi's killing has, quote, totally died down. Joining us now to discuss is CNN contributor Bob Costas.
Hey.
This is, Bob, I mean, this is all happening. It's happening so close to the World Trade Center. I mean, it's happening in the shadow of it.
And some 700 plus of the victims on 9/11 21 years ago were from New Jersey, some of them from the Bedminster area. So the 9/11 families are very hurt about this, very upset. There will be protests outside the grounds. But if we've learned anything about Donald Trump, which it shouldn't have taken very long to learn, is that he doesn't care about any principle, including American democracy, or any person. He cares about nothing other than his own perceived self-interests. And then there's the aspect of grievance and revenge. He was upset because the PGA pulled out following January 6th of last year, following those events. They pulled the PGA tournament from the Bedminster course. So this is an element of grievance on his part because, as we all know, he is, after all, the most persecuted man in American history, and he's qualified to say that because he's a scholar of history.
Donald Trump saying the Jamal Khashoggi issue has totally died down as a justification. That's a different place than even the golfers who are trying to justify it. What do you think of that?
What could you possibly say? You know, people who want to believe what they want to believe will accept that. People who live in this reality will not.
Because the golfers, I mean, their line is they say golf is a force for good.
Yeah.
It's sort of the way they try to twist it and say it's not sports washing. This is actually us using golf for good. That's not where Donald Trump is coming from here.
No, it's not. As we've discussed before on this program, if the Live Golf Tour was backed by anything other than this sort of association with the Saudis, and we mentioned Jamal Khashoggi, but there's a whole list of other human rights violations and the connection to 9/11 itself. If it were backed by any other entity, then it would just be a rival tour. And as we've noted before, Greg Norman and many of the players on the tour have issues with the PGA. And those issues could be addressed if there were an alternative, as long as that alternative was not backed by an objectionable regime. That's the entire crux of the issue.
And again, and we've talked about it here before, Bob, but I want you to make the distinction. You see this as different than President Biden going to Saudi Arabia and meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince.
Well, I don't know that I'm qualified to talk about that, but over the course of history, leaders of adversarial nations have had to meet for reasons of realpolitik. I'll say this, it's just a personal thing. A fist bump is usually an affirmation. You shake hands with opponents. The handshake comes from, war long ago. I'm putting out my hand to indicate I'm not holding a weapon. You fist bump somebody when it's kind of an affirmation. Hey, good job, or good to see you. You're my pal. I thought the fist bump was worse than a handshake, but that's probably a trivial matter.
Why do you see this different then? Because some people who have defended the Live Tour have said, well, what about sponsors of the PGA who do business in Saudi Arabia? Why aren't you all over that? Why isn't that so bad? Or athletes who go to countries with questionable human rights records. Why isn't that the same thing?
Well, there is a bit of whataboutism because who says that any of us necessarily approve of those business relationships? But the difference here is we don't know who any of those people are. The Saudis are interested in having Phil Mickelson and Dustin Johnson and whomever else, and now Bubba Watson, because that puts a certain happy face, at least to some in the audience, on this entire endeavor, because people feel warm feelings. They're entertained by sports. That's different. Also, if you go to China because the Olympics are there, you as an Olympian are not in business with the Chinese. You may even say, I wish the Olympics weren't here, but that's where they're being held. In this case, there's a direct business relationship between each of these golfers and the Saudi regime.
You know, Donald Trump has a bit of a history trying to get into pro sports in a major way.
Yeah, he wanted to buy the Buffalo Bills at one time, wanted to get into the NFL, owned the New Jersey Generals of the USFL. Doug Flutie on the one hand, Herschel Walker on the other, another bright, shining political light. So, yeah, he has that history, and we know that he will nurse a grievance for a very long time.
Do you see this template playing out with other leagues, baseball, etc., basketball?
You know, Mark Cuban, who owns the Dallas Mavericks, expressed some concern about that, but I see it maybe in tennis you could do it, but team sports are dependent upon a certain kind of history. You can't just put on an exhibition in which Aaron Judge might hit 62 home runs or Shohei Ohtani might do whatever he does outside the context of the meaning of that competition, the records within that competition. Team sports are different.
There's something about a golfer and a tennis player in a way are independent contractors, right?
That's right. That's what I meant.
Yeah, and these teams are, businesses and organizations in and of themselves. I don't know how you would do it.
Yeah, and the apparatus is so much larger than just saying, okay, we're having a golf tournament, you show up here, you tee off. The apparatus of a league, the scheduling, and everything else that goes into it. And there have been rival leagues through the years, but all those rival leagues, to the extent in which they were successful, they were absorbed. The AFL was absorbed by the NFL, part of the ABA absorbed by the NBA, the WHA absorbed by the NHL.
But it's when you have an individual sport like golf, it means it is your decision.
Absolutely,
you can't hang it on a league or on a team. So it's your decision to go. So like a Bubba Watson, when he's going, what does this do to a legacy for Bubba Watson? I mean, he was once number 2 in the world.
And he won the Masters twice.
So now what?
Supposedly the four majors, the British Open, the US Open, the PGA, and the Masters, are not affected by the suspensions which the PGA Tour has handed out to these players. So they can still play in the majors, and your legacy is largely determined by what you do in the majors. Nobody is saying that these players don't have the right to do it. The question is it the right thing to do?
Yeah.
And also, if we want to talk about golf grievance, since we mentioned the majors, it just crosses my mind that the British Open is often contested at Turnberry, but the Royal and Ancient Club has not extended any olive branches to Donald Trump, so that's probably another thing that's sticking in his craw.
I will say, as a junior golfer who went to a tournament once to watch Greg Norman hit sand shots, and he was amazing, it's disappointing to watch. I had no idea so many years later it would be kind of disappointing to see what's happened here. Bob, it's always lovely to have you. Thanks for being with us this morning.
It was lovely. Thank you.